Hi everyone, I'm Adva Shisgal and this is Startup for a Startup, where today we're talking about creating content that will make your startup stand out. And if you're wondering why I'm speaking English, it's because today we're hosting a very special guest, Nuseir Yassin, aka Nas Daily. Hi.
Slicha, we're gonna go English.
Yeah, we're gonna go English. I mean, everyone knows English by now, guys.
If you're trying to build a startup, you probably should speak English.
Exactly. We could do it in Hebrew, but we wanted to test you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Okay, so very, very happy to have you here. A
Likewise.
small secret, I've actually tried to bring you in the podcast 3 times before.
What?
So
Did you?
happy. I'm actually
Did you
able
email
to
me
do it.
at all about it?
No, I think I talked to your team also. That was an exaggeration. It was only 2 times and everyone was really nice about it, but the schedule didn't work.
Were they nice about it? Like, actually, or were they like assholes?
No, they were actually nice about it.
I'm trying really hard to.
No, they were nice about it and they nicely told me no. So it's also, but we made it.
And now I'm here. This is great.
And I'll give a small intro about you. You are one of the world's most influential content creators with 68 million followers across multiple platforms and thousands of widely recognized 1-minute video. And if I want to put it in number, we'll say that every month your content reaches more than 300 million people from all over the world.
More or less.
I mean, 300,
But
250.
we'll talk more about it. We'll talk
Yeah.
more about it. Not everything is as shiny as it seems.
But beyond that, you're also the founder and CEO of 5 companies, which is basically an ecosystem of businesses that you build to transform the way people connect.
Yeah, when you say that, it makes it look like 5 small companies. Actually, 2 real main companies. 1 media, 1 tech.
Well, and both big, and then
Those
3
ones are
small
big,
ones.
yeah. The other ones are like for fun.
Okay. And your latest company, 1000 Media, is actually aiming to assisting startup and businesses and even government, right, to elevate their content.
Especially governments.
Ooh. So today we're going to talk about what kind of content startups should create and why should they even create content,
Yes.
how to convert viral content into real business, and what it takes to take the first steps and even begin.
I love that. Let's have the best conversation of our lives.
Amazing. Okay, so let's start with, we've mentioned 1000 Media, which is also the reason that we've managed to record a face-to-face episode that you're actually
Yeah, I'm
here.
here for this.
that
Yeah,
you're
launch
here.
party of
I know.
1000.
Tell me about the company. What are you aiming to do?
So,
Yes.
hi everybody listening. Nice to meet you. Thank you for listening. Look, the truth of the matter is, I'm just a village boy. I'm from Araba in the north, right? I spent my whole 20 years here, and I'm like, nobody cares about me. I'm a middle child, like in an small Arab town. Like I don't really matter. I went to Harvard. I studied economics. I became a software engineer. Nobody really cares. Like, nobody really cared about me for the longest time. One thing I realized is, something magical happens when you put videos and you click upload. When you put videos on the internet, something magical happens. It can completely transform your life. And for the last 8 years, it has transformed my life like I've never imagined was humanly possible. And all it took was 1,000 MP4 files. Because Nas Daily started with 1,000 videos in 1,000 days.
Did you really had no idea that the potential it's going to have?
Are you kidding? No way.
Crazy.
Impossible. So the 1,000-day journey that I did transformed my life, enabled me to build a company, now 2 companies, enabled me to meet presidents and like really have money for my grandkids. That is insane if you're literally from Araba, which is next to Sakhnin for those that don't know. So this made me realize that content can change lives and content can create companies. And that's why I decided, okay, if it worked for me, we can probably make it work for others. So let's turn everything we've known. We're not just one person. We're like 50 people in the media company. Let's take everything we've learned and assemble the best creative people, call it 1000 Media, and literally go build channels, build social media content presence for other people, for startups, high-tech companies, big companies, small companies, nonprofits, and governments. This is kind of sort of my life mission now, is to become an entrepreneur. It worked for me. Now let's build a business and make it work for others.
But I want to ask you,
Yes.
startups, and I'm focusing on startups here because they usually have very limited resources, especially in today's economic.
Yes.
Why, among all other things they should put their focus and invest on, should they do content?
Well, this is why I'm excited for the first time in 8 years, is because for the first time ever, it is finally financially possible and affordable to create thousands of pieces of content. So if we look at the evolution of content, it used to take $200 million a year to run Al Jazeera, get a satellite, and get reporters and streamline to TVs. Then now it takes $2 million a year to create a media company and really create a social media presence. That's kind of how much Nas Daily or costs. But now because of AI, instead of $2 million, it takes $200,000 a year to create proper social media presence. So AI can take down the time it takes 15 hours to make a video. Now we can do it in, let's say, four or five, right? So the script, we have assistance with the edit, we have assistance with the music, the visuals, and the ideas. So that's why 1000 Media is the time to start it is now, because if you enable it with the right AI technology and the right humans, this is not an AI tool, with the right humans, you can create a very affordable way for startups and big companies to flood the internet with content.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I wanted to reach AI at the end of conversation, but I guess it's so big that we cannot wait.
Cannot really wait.
So other than, financially and in terms of resources, in what other way do you think is AI changing the game? Is it actually also allowing you to create better content or just doing it faster and cheaper?
So the way I think about AI in general is super X. Whatever X you are at, it makes you super X. So if you're already like an okay creator, it makes you a super creator. If you're an okay entrepreneur, it makes you a super entrepreneur. But it amplifies what you already are. And so if you make shitty videos with AI, you will make shittier videos. But if you make okay videos with AI, you'll make great videos. That's kind of how I view this technology. We are not at the stage yet where it's like, oh, everything done for you, 2 minutes, oh my God, and I laid off half my team. We don't need people anymore. We're not saying that. What we are saying is the research used to take 5 hours. Now it takes 1. Editing used to take 5. Now it takes 2. And then script writing used to take 5. Now it takes 1. It still takes a long time, but it's getting better.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all about the collaboration. I think for the past year or so, people have starting to scare everyone, and AI is going to replace everyone. And I feel like in the past few months, we're going into the direction of understanding it's more of a collaboration between humans and AI, and understanding how to optimize this collaboration rather than just, as you said, firing everyone and hiring an AI agent. Not hiring, but implementing an AI
we're not
agent.
Quite there yet. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of AI agents floating around. There's a real nice marketplaces for AI agents. But one of if you look at 1000 Media, we have 3 products. One of them is just mentorship, very basic mentorship. The other is full human team that we can hire to manage your social media presence. But the middle one is, AI plus humans that are together helping you create content. And we see that to be the people are most interested in that, understandably so.
Amazing. So I want to go into the practicalities of content creation.
Yes.
And maybe I'll give an example of something that happened to us. I think a year ago, my team at Startup for Startup, we decided, let's try TikTok. We want to, we want to enhance our reach. Let's try TikTok. A lot of people are there. And we did a couple of videos. They all got maybe 800 views. And then we posted one video that got 40,000 views about a person who sold his startup only after 2 weeks. He built the feature and he sold it after 2 weeks.
That's great.
40,000 views. We were so excited, but this was converted into absolute nothing. Nothing happened after.
Yes.
No one reached our website, our YouTube. We didn't have any results after. So why make content? Is it even possible to convert content into actual business, into actual leads?
Yeah, so I have many thoughts on this. Number one, the person you made a video about that got 40,000 views, most likely he got all the leads because he's the one who's interesting. You're just the messenger. He is the one that's interesting. So definitely out of the 40,000 people, at least 5 people reached out to him with something interesting. So the power of content, I would never underestimate. You know the 6-degree theory on Wikipedia, which is you can go to any Wikipedia page and within 6 clicks on blue links, you can reach Hitler.
It's my favorite game. It's a game. It's an actual game.
Is it your favorite game?
You have to scroll and get one Wikipedia, random one, and then you have to go to another one, someone else you drew from a head, and you have to reach it within 6. It's the best game.
I love that. Well, I know about the Hitler component of it, which is it always leads
to Hitler, yeah.
But in content, there's a similar thing, which is anybody in the world, you can reach them not in 6, but actually in 3. 3 reshares, and you can reach that person, right? So no one should underestimate the power of content, because even if it gets to 40,000 people, one of them, reshares it to another person, and you found your investor or you found your customer. It's actually not scale that matters. You just need the right views and the right shares. Now, that's number one. Do not underestimate content. That being said, I do make a lot of content and it gets millions of views, but for some reason, sometimes it just does not have any impact. So here's the strategy I think every startup should do. First of all, create 1,000 pieces of content. You should make a lot of content. You said we made 3 videos. Not good.
Yeah.
You're going to be making 1,000. Why do you think I named the company 1000 Media? Because it's all about volume. So create 1,000 pieces of content. Let's say, to be realistic, in your case, make 100. Out of these 100, upload them all. See which one resonated really well, and see which one has maybe it's in the most potential, and then put money, ad spend behind that piece of content. And so if you're a startup, you have nothing to sell, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if you have something to sell, right, create 100 pieces of content, see the one that performs really well organically, double down on it with paid media so that you target your customers. And we know that this video is good because organically it did good. So organic content, the way I view it is, organic content is a trust engine. And then paid content, performance marketing, which a lot of Israelis love, is a sales engine. You need both. Israelis only build sales engines.
Yeah.
All the Israeli companies, CAC LTV, performance marketing, and then you end up with no brand. That's the problem. Monday's actually pretty good at building both engines.
Yeah, we had a strong performance marketing engine from pretty early on.
But you also have a good trust engine because you sponsor some conferences that I've seen.
Yeah, now we do, but it took a while to get there.
It took you a while. But what I think Israeli companies should really, I live in Dubai. Dubai is all about building trust engines and no sales engine, which is the exact opposite. In Dubai, brand, just like Hollywood. In Israel, there's no brand, and it's like sell. The real best startup should have both. So a trust engine means you need to get to at least 10,000 followers on social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. Ideally, you want to do it Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. If you're an Israeli company, TikTok not so relevant.
Even if you're aiming for an American audience, because not a lot of Israeli startups sell for Israeli customers.
That's correct. So in America, what really matters is actually YouTube is going to be hard because YouTube is for creators. Companies are going to have a hard time getting YouTube audience. I would sponsor YouTubers, but I wouldn't actually build a YouTube presence. I would focus on LinkedIn. That's American enough. And I would focus on Instagram and TikTok. I think those are the ones I would do if I was an Israeli company. I would get to 10,000 followers. And then that is my trust engine. Anybody that goes to my social media, they're not dead. And then in the back end, I'll do a lot of performance marketing.
But what would be what's the CTA? What would be the call to action that you'll put in your content, if any, to make sure that, people are not just, because if you're scrolling on Instagram, even if you see a video you like, you want to make them leave Instagram and go on your website or remember you the next time they're going to think about X, Y, or Z.
So every startup, and this is something that in 1000 we really focus a lot on. Every piece of content must be educational. It must not be for selling. Again, we're building a trust engine now. I need to trust you to be the best in the world at startup advice. Or if you're a company that sells medicine, or let's say a yogurt company, if you sell a yogurt, Nuva, you need to make content not about your product. You need to make a food science show. Tell me how protein in yogurt forms. So every company should be a university. That's how you build trust. Let me teach you something about this thing. And then the call to action is actually just follow us.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to become buy our product. You can put it at the end as buy our product. But it'll work sometimes. But what you can do is you go viral with an ad with organic content that's educational, and then when you run an ad, you run the ad on the people that viewed that piece of content, so they remember that. So that's every piece of content you do should have some sort of a watermark or some sort of a resemblance that this is a Monday.com video that I just watched.
And okay, so you've mentioned 3 different platforms. So you've mentioned LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yes.
Instagram and TikTok with Instagram Reels are becoming quite similar, but LinkedIn is very different.
Yes.
And I think something that I find really interesting is startups tend to have this, more formal or business-like language or messaging than trying to bring out when you're trying to sell a product. And on the other hand, content that actually goes viral is usually less formal, more casual, it's more fun. How do you integrate those two to make, you want to be portrayed as a serious company, but on the other hand, a serious person standing and just telling about their product is not going to become viral. People are going to swipe down immediately.
So I'm going to, maybe this is a controversial take, but I would probably say that the age of $1 million video productions is over.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that UGC is where it's at, and we see it in real life with some of our clients, and even we are our own client with Nuseir. We do UGC ads instead of high quality productions.
UGC stands for?
User generated, basically, right? So we get somebody on their phone to be like, hey, I just tried this product and I really like it. That feels a little bit more authentic. I think the future is heading more and more and more towards authenticity. And this is why podcasts are blowing up. This is why X is blowing up. Because we know you're not fake. Trump, his main claim to fame is authenticity. You should look at what's happening in the macro with politics as something that will also happen into your startup. Politicians are becoming more authentic. And if they have to be more authentic to be elected, your startup has to also be more authentic to be sold and bought. So, yeah, the days of like pretending to like something with a suit and tie, I think I'm very bearish on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get your employees, your customers to make videos with their phone.
Can you think of a startup that is an example for you to a startup who has cracked, or a company that has cracked the content secret?
We have a couple. 1000 Media works with Solana, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Solana has done a great, the cryptocurrency, the blockchain. Solana has cracked the code on like just organic community-based content. Like it's hard to go to Twitter these days without seeing Solana if you're in the crypto space. So they've done a really good job. They've invested a lot in content. They've invested a lot in community. But they've also focused on one platform where their audience is, Twitter. Right, so if you're in a crypto company in Israel, for sure, I would double down on X. Solana comes to mind. A couple of companies, fitness companies called Fitter in India also comes to mind. I'll say somebody who cracked it really well on social media. Actually, that's not a brand. Dubai, the UAE government. So also a client of 1000 Media. But what the UAE government does, it literally is the number one city on social media. So if cities were products, so let's ask, why is Dubai so good on social media? One is their product is shiny, but number two is they've invested in social media. So what they've created is they created 13 social media pages, each one called Emirates Loves India, Emirates Loves Pakistan, Emirates Loves Morocco, Emirates Loves Saudi, right? So each page has content about the Emirates and the India, how Indians are succeeding in the Emirates, for example, right? And those social media pages get, hundreds of millions of views. So we've hired like 100 people for this company. All it does is content about the UAE versus another nation that's highly specific. Emirates Loves Sudan, only show Sudanese people on that page.
Incredible.
Now imagine if you're a startup, right? Copy the UAE government. So let's create pages called, let's say you have different personas. You have women entrepreneurs as a persona. You have fitness creators as a persona. Create, let's say your product called Monday. Monday loves fitness, or Fitness Monday, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Women Monday. And then only create women-related issues on that
under
page.
this channel.
Yes. So you want to create 10 channels with 10 different target audience. And again, that's why you really need AI to be able to streamline all this stuff and make it humanly possible.
Yeah. I think it's a good point, and it leads me to my next question, which is I wanted us to break this down and really talk about the questions you should ask yourself before starting creating content.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the first one, like, who's your target audience?
Yes.
And then
yes,
once
exactly.
you understand who you're, I know that usually startups, especially if they're small, very early stage, they might want to focus on one target audience, which is fine. But at least you know who's your future one, and then where do you want to expand to.
Yes, exactly.
So that's one question out of the way. What other questions or what other preparation or things you should know before you start creating content as a startup?
So number one is you need to commit to a time frame. I see what happens all the time is they try with 2 videos and it doesn't work and they stop. You need to commit to a time frame. Say for 6 months, I'm going to try content, but also you need to commit to a frequency. So that's something that we usually help the clients do is, hey, we're working together. We commit to 3 videos a week or 4 videos a week, because perfection is the enemy of progress. Most startups say, I'll upload a video whenever. Okay, well, whenever, well, it goes a month and then the video is not uploaded. With Nas Daily, for example, I had 24 hours to make a video. And at the end of the 24 hours, I'm clicking upload no matter what. And so that's how I made 1,000 videos in 1,000 days. If I didn't have that rigid, religious daily requirement, I would not be here talking to you today, because you would not invite me to the podcast, because I'd be back in the village. Simple as that, you know? So first of all, commit to a time frame, and then commit to a frequency, and then launch. And then you have the target audience, then commit to a platform. So you can start by putting your videos across all platforms, but eventually you'll find that one platform performs better for you than others. For example, if you're a B2B company, boy, forget TikTok. Go to LinkedIn. Become the next big thing on LinkedIn and X. That's it. And then another tip is founders matter. Humans matter. People want to see people. They don't want to see products. Focus on people in your content. So focus on highlighting your customers, highlighting your employees, highlighting the founders, highlighting CSR, whatever it is. Put people in your product. Stop hiding behind it. That's it.
I really resonate with it. I have a lot of time I meet people and I help people with building their own podcast. And I think one thing that we really learned from this podcast is, and I always tell people, decide on a beat, like what's your cadence?
Yes.
And because it's so hard to create loyalty, there's so many options out there. And if you want someone to be loyal to them, you have to keep your promise. And if your promise is an episode a week, make sure you fulfill this promise.
Always fulfill that promise.
And then also a tip that I think helped me is have 3 pieces of content ready before you launch. Because if you create one and it doesn't go, the wind, the wind knocks out of your, however you say that.
Yes.
And it's very easy to give up. So have 3 pieces of content, release them, and then keep moving.
Agreed. Good points.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next thing I want to talk about, and you said, we talked about giving up. So I want to talk about 2 things. One, what's the metrics you can look on to know that your content is working? And the other one is, how long does it take to actually see results? Because when should you know, okay, that's not working, and when do you need to keep pushing because it might happen?
So great question. We used to look at the metric of followers. So I think 2016 until 2022, followers was basically a metric of success. Then TikTok came and changed the whole game. And so now the number of followers is actually irrelevant. If you have 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers, it's a trust engine, but nothing else. So it doesn't actually mean you're successful. It just signals trust, as we said before. What really matters is the views and the distribution. And so I would look at the views that you get, and I would also look at the countries where I'm getting the views. That is success. So if you're a company targeting America, getting 10 million views in India is useless. You don't want that. And so really being able to target the country you want is so important. So views and the location of the views is very important.
Is it something you can technically do, like target on, like can you
that's the hard part. That's the hard part of social media is like, speaking candidly, sometimes there are countries I wish that don't watch Nas Daily. Even though I want the whole world to watch Nas Daily, but just some countries watch Nas Daily too much. And so eventually the algorithm starts to point the content to only that country, and it's like, wait a minute, like I want monetized audiences, because the algorithm indexes for engagement. Who's most likely to click like on this video? I'm going to show it to them.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that is usually people with no money. And if you're trying to sell something on social media, then good luck.
Yeah. So what do you do then?
Well, you got to start one tip is to change the hosts. So literally, because I'm brown, I attract brown people. Simple as that. If you're black, you attract black audience. If you're a woman, you attract woman audience. Racism is rampant on social media, but it's also like I want to watch somebody that looks like me. So I would change the host to somebody that resembles my target audience.
Okay, good tip.
I would speak in the accent of that country, like Israeli accent. Sorry, but no go. Like,
Should I change this to talk like this, maybe?
if you talk like this,
If I
then
talk
you
like
get
this.
you get guy
Maybe
from
now we'll
Ramat
get a
Gan.
lot of views. Yeah.
But you if you want somebody from Wisconsin, you gotta sound like this.
Mhm.
So it's like so you change the accent, you change the host, you change the cadence, and then you upload in a time that is good for that country. And you try. I don't think there's real evidence against this or for this, but you try to upload it with a VPN from that country.
Okay.
So people know, social media knows that this is a US based account. It took us like 3 months to change Nas Daily's country of residence from Dubai or Singapore to the United States. And the only way to do that is literally by uploading videos from the United States or on a VPN to the United States. It was insane. And once we did that, we started to get more opportunities from Instagram because you're a US creator. So my
Crazy.
other tip is be US. I mean, Israeli companies don't need help in that, but be US first.
Yeah, and is there any tips you think could help to people focusing on the US market, things that are working better for American audience?
Yeah. So something we do this with 1000 Media does this for Solana is we try to target cultural moments in the United States. You would be shocked by how many cultural moments exist in the United States, but they don't exist anywhere else.
Like what? Like Martin Luther King did? Like
Martin Luther King. Did you celebrate it in Israel?
No,
The Los Angeles fires. Did you care about them in Israel?
I mean we had other things going on.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, like, I mean, in New York, for example, like a subway incident was the biggest thing, or like a congestion fee just became in New York. Everybody's talking about it, but you would not know that unless you live there. March Madness is coming up. Super Bowl is coming up. Thanksgiving. These are very, 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 very important cultural moments.
So tag into them and make
Yeah.
sure to use them.
Yes.
And you talked about followers as one metric. How about metrics of in-content retention? So like the percentage from your content that people are actually, is it enough if you have 1 minute video? Is it if and everyone watches 20 seconds of it? Is it enough? Like should I aim to people to watch the whole thing?
So one thing you want to do is try to have a payoff at the end of the video. So you want to set up the frame of the video. It's like saying, hello everybody, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how much I have in my bank account. But first, let's talk about my job, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, all right, I got to stay until the end of the video. By the end of the video, my girlfriend and I are going to kiss. It's like, oh,
But,
wow.
what's gonna happen?
What's
Yeah.
going to happen? So an example, I just made a similar video about this. Is like, I studied 6 religions in 6 months. And by the end of the video, I'm going to tell you my favorite religion. All right, everybody stayed until the end.
And are people not getting, I mean, maybe I'm challenging this, but are people not getting immune to this? Because, so many videos on TikTok, so many videos on Instagram. We're not the only one using this method. Are people not getting immune to it?
Well, but it's about like, I'm going to promise you something and you have to deliver on that promise. It's not like, I'm going to tell you what my favorite religion is, but actually I will not tell you.
Yeah.
Like you have to tell them. So you want to deliver on the promise, but you want to set up the payoff. There needs to be a payoff at the end of the video. That's how you keep retention really, really high. And that's something I struggled with, to be honest, because I had low retention when I started Nas Daily. I still struggle with it today. Like out of 10 videos I launch, I would say 5 have bad retention, 3 have okay, and 2 have great retention.
Oh, actually.
This is not something like people look at Nas Daily, oh, he cracked it. No, we're all in this shit together.
So this is kind of a differ from where I wanted to go, but I have to ask, what do you think, like what's one mistake you did with content that you've learned from and you're now doing differently?
One mistake I did with content is I assumed that all views are created equal. And I think that was a mistake. If you get, sometimes you don't want to get 10 million views. And actually, the lower the views, the better. So the problem with Nas Daily is I simplified things so much. It became such a universal message that the smartest people in the world and the richest people in the world were like, okay, that's too dumb for me. I'm going to go watch
You went
it.
overboard.
Yeah, I went overboard. So, so it's so funny. I was in this luxury cruise in Antarctica. And I was with like one of the richest people in the world, and it was like fun. But we had this joke, which was in the ship, the lower you go in the deck, the more people know Nas Daily. You know,
Crazy.
so whoever has a penthouse in the ship doesn't know.
So
The
if you want to be anonymous, you should start from the top, and then once you go to it's like Nas.
Yes, exactly. At the top, I am like, oh, who are you? Do you work here? And at the bottom, it's like, oh my God, Nas Daily's in our ship.
Have you won the lottery?
So that's an issue I did. But it's okay because I wanted the whole world to watch the message. But if you're building a business, which I think everybody here is building a business, you know, Nas Daily for me at this point is a corporate social responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this. It's do good for the world, the one that actually needs the to hear it. And then 1000 Media is my entrepreneur thing that this is why we're doing this, because I think this reaches smart and rich people.
I'm going back to the metrics conversation. At what point or how will I know that my content success is translating into my business success? Like you've mentioned Solana, for example. How do they know that the Twitter or the X action is what actually bringing in more business? Because if you're not putting a direct link, enter my website, how do you know that's actually?
So this is a great podcast question. I only expect to get it from Israel, right? Because Israel is obsessed with like a direct connection. If I do $1 here, I get $2 outside, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, no. So we need something called faith. So you need to have some faith that the more viral you get continuously, the bigger of a brand you'll get. You know, and that is something American companies and UAE companies understand really well. They're really good at building brand and believing that if I spend money on content or if I spend money on attention, I will get something out of it in the long run. But I think in Israeli companies are like, I need a 3-month CAC payback. Okay, you can get it, but you're not going to get a brand.
I think it's because content, I think for startups, is not as strong as performance marketing here. And for performance marketing, you are expecting to see, if I put an ad on Google, you want to say, I put $2, I got $5 back.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from you, and it's interesting because I understand as we speak that I also merged the two things together, but it's actually two different things that you need to look at content different than what you're looking at ads or paid ads.
Trust, sales. Trust engine, sales engine. So what I would do is something I also do. I spend 50% of my money on paid and 50% on organic. That's kind of how I think is a good strategy.
But I'm challenging you more.
Please.
Yes. You're a very early stage startup. You need to be extremely cautious with every dollar because every dollar you put out is going directly out of your runway and making your time until the next capital raise even shorter. How do you decide where do you want to put your next dollar?
So
because you have to see results.
Right. So this question assumes that organic content will never get results. Like the way I view it, let's say if I have $10, if I put $10 in Google SEO, I know for a fact I'll get 2 clicks, $5 per click, right? But if I take that $10 and I make 5 videos, right? Let's say 4 videos will be a dud. They will not work. 1 will get 40,000 views like yours, and it could literally revolutionize my company.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in a world where you're not bounded by the number of followers you get. I know that I don't have a moat anymore. I don't have any advantage as Nas Daily on social media because let's say I have 5 million followers on Instagram. If I make an Instagram video and it's bad, I get 500,000 views. If I make, but if one person just started Instagram, my girlfriend, Asia Mirak on Instagram. She made one video. She has 500,000 followers on Instagram. She made one video and it got 15 million views, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm getting 500K views and this girl that just started is getting 15 million views for that video. Clearly, there is no advantage to Nas Daily followers and fan base and brand and all that stuff, which means for startups, when you spend $10 on performance marketing, there is no surprises. You will never get a life-changing event. You will get a customer per CAC that you expect. But there's no VC returns, There's like bonds. It's like bonds.
Yeah, it's not like the 10X.
There's no 10X in performance marketing. Organic content, you have a 100X opportunity and you have a 0X opportunity. That's the VC model.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Israeli companies are doing the boring bond model. You get 5% return every year. But you want to have a bit of a VC game.
Yeah, with content.
With content, yeah.
Amazing. So
I'm selling myself on this. Now I want to go and make more organic content. The more I talk about this.
I mean, the best podcast is the one where you actually learn from yourself, isn't it?
I actually am learning.
You should listen to that episode.
I'm going to send this to my marketing team.
That will be like, hey guys, just listen to me speak.
Like
that
you
will
always
probably
do.
make you the best CEO ever. You've been doing it for 8.5 years. I'm sure your content has grown and changed or
Yeah, got boring at times.
I mean, you said it. No, it's not. But it changed with time. So how should startup, how do you know my content need to change? Because you don't want to do the same thing when you're a 10 people company and when you're a 100 people company.
Very good question. So I'll tell you something. When I started making 1,000 videos, they were all 1 minute. Then after 4 or 5 years, I was known as the 1 minute guy. That's 1 minute. See you tomorrow. 1 minute guy. Wah, wah, wah. That was my whole brand, my whole livelihood. And then Facebook comes up and says, from now on, we are going to prioritize 3-minute videos and above. And I'm like, fuck. Like my whole brand is gone overnight. And so I started making 3-minute long videos. Now, in this case, what you saw is my format was forced to change. I was making landscape videos. All of a sudden, TikTok came about and said, you know what? We're going to make it only vertical. It's like, God damn it. So I started making vertical videos. So what I'm trying to say is the algorithm is your God. In social media, the algorithm is your God. Whatever the algorithm wants, you must obey because there's no way around it.
Yeah.
And so that's how you decide where you take your content, on which platform to go, and what format, what length, and what to make videos about.
And how do you keep up with the algorithm?
Well, you have to be obsessive about this. You have to you have to follow the CEOs. You have to follow the CEO of Facebook, CEO of Instagram, CEO of TikTok. You have to follow their press releases. You have to try to be in their events because that's where the announced algorithm changes. There is this amazing Nuseir community. Nuseir is our technology platform, by the way, which is like a whole new thing. Nuseir/geekout, GEEGKOUT. This guy from London just shares social media changes every single day on a WhatsApp group. It's $6 a month to enter a WhatsApp group. You get 100 updates every day. If Instagram adds a button, you know about it. If LinkedIn removes a button, you'll know about it. If the algorithm changes, you know about it. It's a really amazing WhatsApp group, and I highly recommend it.
Amazing. But these are all sort of forced changes that you had to go through because the algorithm changed. What about, the level of maturity you felt like you reached? I mean, you started as someone who's doing it. At some point, you had a whole business around it. At some point, you had more than one business surrounding it. Are you still making the same kind of content? Because maybe you want to change it not because everything else, but because you want to portray yourself as something else, or you want to send a different message.
It's a good question also. Yes, I was a creator for the first 8. I was a traveler for 3 years, then a creator for the next 3 years, and now I'm only an entrepreneur. So I only build companies now. I'm not a creator per se. So my chapter of creator is over. Now I'm like, okay, building companies, 1,000 Media, Nas.io, let's go. That's all I care about in life. So in a way, my content has to change.
Yeah.
I no longer can go to China and show you the mountains, and because of that, you will lose followers. The thing is, you just have to keep your life interesting. You shouldn't be doing the same thing every day. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You need to go, and your audience needs to go wherever you go. And unfortunately, some will want to stay in the travel world, and others will come with you. It is your job to carry your audience with you wherever you go in these different chapters in your life. Your audience will come with you as long as the next chapter is as exciting as the one before. And that's harder said than done.
Yeah, and also I think
harder done than said. Sorry.
Yeah, and keep in mind the entire target audience thing, because if you change your content, it's probably because the company changed, the product changed, and maybe some of the people, instead of being scared like, oh, I just lost 100,000 followers, maybe these 100,000 followers are no longer your target audience, which makes it fine for you to lose them.
Yes, it is good to decrease in followers. It is good to get unfollows.
What I think we did talk about a lot of them. What do you think are the biggest mistakes you see people, or I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about startups or companies doing when creating content?
The biggest mistake, I think, is they try to sell, and they don't humanize their content enough. It's a lot of Israeli companies build, software. And so they make the software as the product when it should be the human using the software to be the product. And also they don't share their struggles enough. Like the reason Nas Daily succeeded is because I made a video crying. I made like 10 videos where I cried. Okay.
Would you mind sharing a tear here if that helps?
You want me to cry now?
Yeah, just
that
like
helps
shed a
you.
small tear.
If you ask me the right question, I could cry.
Oh, a challenge.
So a lot of the founders don't really I'm yet to see one Israeli tech founder who's like, guys, I'm struggling. I had to go to the war and I'm here and I have 5 kids and I don't know what to do. And no one is sharing their like personal life story. Like people want to see that. Now, people may say, well, I don't want to, I'm just the behind the scenes. I want my product to be built. You could do that. Humanize your company. That's all I'm going to say.
And do you think you have to put yourself at the front as the CEO or as the founder for it? Or can I have someone from the marketing team do it?
I wouldn't put somebody from the marketing team.
Or I mean,
this may sound like an offensive take, but I would hire somebody who has proven that they can grow on social media. So I would find somebody that's a mini creator that's 10,000 followers and above, and I would hire them to make me 5-10 videos on a basis, and I would give them equity and money. I would want them to be part of this, to feel like this is their life. But also the founders, I would make them go really big on LinkedIn and X. So LinkedIn and X is where founders should go. And then the content creators should go on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook and YouTube. And I would hire somebody with 10,000 followers and above. I would say if I look at like what is the one thing that I've focused on a lot for the last 8 years or 6 years is being able to attract talent that does not exist on LinkedIn. And if somebody is on LinkedIn applying for marketing jobs, already they're not a creator. Sorry. Yeah. This is a very controversial take. But hey, we're in Israel. We can say whatever.
We can say controversial.
But like, what I mean is like the people you want to hire are not on LinkedIn. They are on Instagram. They are on TikTok. They are on Behance. That's where you want them.
Amazing. And I also would like to take the moment to do a commercial for ourselves and say that if you do want to hear founders struggling, we started a series in this podcast only for founders to talk about the hardship of actually being a founder in this industry.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's called A la Sapa, on the couch. So if anyone...
Is it audio and video?
It's only audio.
Why not make it video?
We're working
That's
on
why
it.
I haven't seen it yet, because I watch only video.
Are you?
Well, I do that
For
on
podcast as well?
Spotify.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're setting the studio to be a video studio.
Make sure they cry.
Soon, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what's the right question? No, I'm kidding. Okay, we're reaching the end. What are any final tips for startups looking to build a strong content presence that you have? Like someone comes to you and tell you, Nuseir, I need your one thing, one take for me to get going or for me to make successful content. Other than cry.
The one tip, the most important tip would be, honestly, I can only think about something that is not even content related.
Okay.
The frequency. Like you gotta commit to the frequency. When Nas Daily started, I wasn't a video maker. You think I was born a video maker? I never went to film school. I don't know how to make videos. I still don't know how to make a DSLR work. The reason Nas Daily succeeded is because when I started, I committed to a format and a frequency. 1-minute videos every day. Let's go, baby. That's it for 1,000 days. And so you should take it as a challenge that you want to create content, not as something on the side. And perhaps something they can consider if somebody is thinking about starting a startup, perhaps what you can consider is maybe hold off on starting a startup. And for 6 months, build social capital, which is followers, create content for 6 months, full time, and then start a startup. Because it could also help you understand your customers a lot more to see what problems they want to do. So my actual advice to anybody who was about to start a startup is don't. Wait for 6 months and create content about whatever product you're thinking of building. Then you'll attract the leads, you'll attract the audiences, and then you'll understand the problems. You'll see what's resonating, what's not, and then you build a solution.
So validate your idea before even starting.
With content.
Content. I think I cannot remember what was the name of the company, but I saw a post on LinkedIn about this company who they did not even have a product yet. And they managed to have a wait list of, I think, 20,000 potential customers.
Makes total sense.
And they did not even have and then they were like, okay, 20,000 people want our product. Let's actually build it.
Yes, that's how it starts. That's the future.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to the two engines you talk about.
Yes.
Do the trust engine, you don't necessarily have to start with the sales one.
Exactly. And that's how Nas Daily did. I got 11 million customers after the 1,000 day finished, and then I built my company. So I waited for 1,000 days, and then I built my company. This was a great interview.
I very much enjoyed it as well. Well, thank you. This was very, very fascinating and enlightening for me to hear. And I'll add that if anyone listening has came this far, most of our content is usually in Hebrew. So I recommend looking for Startup for Startup Global. That's where we store all of our English episodes on Spotify or Apple. And if you're a Hebrew speaker, you have 290 more episodes to listen to. So good luck.
Od פעם סליחה.
Yeah. And thank you again. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much.